Hey gang, tonight's show is going to feature California Haunts medium Caren Clarke, who's going to be doing a cold read on a very haunted building. Should be an interesting night. See you in about 5 minutes. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? I am not a morning person, and it's becoming more and more obvious as this day progresses. This is what I'm going to call the Murphy Show. Anything that could go wrong has gone wrong with this particular show. And started off at night, I do show prep an hour before, and I don't know if it's my iPhone or StreamYard or what the hell was going on, but the old show was still there. This show wasn't there. And then when I finally got all that straightened out after I had to reboot my phone, then I couldn't get, like when I share it finally with Instagram and all the other places that I share the show with, I couldn't get it to do a select all. I had to manually move the little knobs around down there. When you go to make a copy of something, you have those knobs, to highlight the text. Had to move those manually around, but the trick was, if I did it in the wrong direction, then the text got covered up. So I had to maneuver through that. Got through that, shot my TikTok intro, and then the mic fell. The extra mic I have that I use for phone calls fell. Literally had a mic drop. It's a sign. It's a sign how this thing's going to go today. So I shot that. I shot the TikTok intro. Then I came in and shot the intro for this show. As you know, the show is about channeling, and the intro I pulled to show before the show started is the wrong intro. So it is a Murphy's Law kind of day. So we're going to dedicate this show to Murphy, whoever came up with the law, okay? Or how he decided to call it Murphy's Law. I apologize. It's the wrong intro. I can't do anything about it now. Once we're rolling, we're rolling. So we'll see how well the day finishes out. Okay. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host, I hope, for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team. Not looking so hot right now, based out of Sacramento. We are 45 strong. This is loose too over here. We don't want that to fall on me. This might fall on me. We are 45 strong up and down the state of California, which means we can help you no matter where you're at. However, okay, when people think of California, they tend to think of us as beaches. It's kind of like Hawaii, right? Beaches and surfing and all that, thanks to the Beach Boys. And we are like that, except bouncing around too. That's gotta love this. We are like that, except for the fact that we also have a lot of farmland. We have a lot of hills. We have a lot of mountains. We have a lot of rural areas. We have deserts and high deserts and low deserts and all that. So it might take us a while to get to you, maybe 1 or 2 days. And in that case, we have mediums like Caren Clarke, who's going to be on, who could call you and talk and do a remote read and talk to you about what may or may not be going on in your home or business. And in most cases, if there is something paranormal going on, they can calm it down for the 2 or 3 days it takes for us to get out there. But it doesn't take more than 2 or 3 days for us to get out there, but we will get out there. And also, I'm in touch with you by phone the whole time. So if you have problems, after they call you or whatever, you can call me and talk to me about it, and we'll talk. Okay, so that's one of the things we offer. We also have branches in Washington, Oregon, and Hawaii, and Nevada. So we're all over the place. This team is all over the place. Of course, not California Haunts in Nevada, it's Nevada Haunts, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, I want to welcome you all today. It's going to be an interesting show. We're going to be talking about channeling. If you're watching from Facebook and you like what you hear and see, and you haven't done so already, please feel free to follow. And also, please leave us a thumbs up if you like what you see. Show us some love and comment on the show. Because what happens is when you do that, is it puts us higher up in the FYP. And what the FYP is, it's the brains of Facebook. It's the brains of YouTube. It's the brains of TikTok. It's the brains of everybody. So it puts us up higher in the FYP, and that means that they will the master computer that runs Facebook will distribute us further out, so more people can see us. Same thing for YouTube. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe if you like what you hear today and see today. Comment, give us thumbs up, and all that stuff for the FYP. Today we're broadcasting from Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, I think that's it. And then TikTok people hopefully are coming over here to watch the show. That's what I'm hoping. Okay, that being said, welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, my name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour, we hope. And it's going to be a phone interview. I see she's in the waiting room, but I think we got our wires crossed again. So she wanted to be on the phone. I said no because the mic dropped. I fixed it. It just I'm gonna need a big Anderson after this or a cocktail. I'll tell you that after this because it's not so much the show, but the start of the show today. Okay, that being said, let's see if I can get Caren on the phone and we can get going on this thing. Caren Clarke has been with this team this team has been around 18 years. I believe Caren Clarke has been with this team for around 17 to 16 of those years. Her role was as the lead field psychic with our team for all those years, for a long time. And age gets in the way, health gets in the way. I'm not saying we're all sick, but I mean, you get older and things change. And she's been doing a lot of remote work for us lately. And last year we finally got out and did some investigating. It was really fun. We hadn't done that in a while. So talking about channeling, Caren Clarke is a channeler. And we've done a lot of quite a few, I can say a lot, but quite a few investigations over the years where she has done readings via channeling during an investigation. And I know you guys watch shows like Ghost, right? Ghost and Whoopi Goldberg doing that channeling. What goes on with a psychic or a medium during channeling. Caren, we're going to talk about the steps we take during the channeling that she does do to ensure that whatever she channels doesn't take over, because there's a good chance that something can take over the psychic as well. So you have to be able to deal with that. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what Caren feels when she's doing this. If she feels different, you can ask in the chat room if you want to ask those questions. Feel free to ask them. But Karen's the expert on this stuff. Well, I'm not. So I just go with the flow. I'm the leader, right? Okay. All right. Well, let me call Caren and see if she's going to do it here. We're going to do it via her computer because I see her in the chat room, in the green room. Nothing surprises me today, so let me call, see what's going on. Hello. Let me get you in. Yeah, let me get you over there. Hang on. Give me a second. Can you hear me all right? Okay, you don't have to be. All right, let me see if you sound better on there. Hang on, okay? All right. Yeah, because I'm getting an echo. Okay.
Testing. 1, 2, 3, testing.
All right, how's that sound?
Sounds pretty good to me.
I think it does, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, we got this. Okay. At least something went right today. I apologize because why am I sounding weird? Can't hear myself. Oh, there we go. I apologize because I put the intro in. I use multi names for the intro. Because I keep files all the time, so I ran the wrong intro for the show. I'm sorry.
You're funny.
So it's from the last show we did. And there's nothing I can do about it. So yeah, we'll just let everybody know up front. Don't panic. It's from the last bloody show we did. So Caren, we're going to talk about channeling, and this is something that you've done during. Hi, Lorna. How's it going? I haven't seen you in a long time. Lorna Edwards is with us in the chat room.
Hello, Laura.
Yeah, and I haven't seen you. We haven't done this in a while, but you're really good at it, and this is something you excel at. And people have a misnomer about channeling and what it is because they've seen things like ghosts, they've seen things like Tanzania and poltergeist. What is it like to get in that channeling mode? How do you psych yourself up to do that?
First of all, what I've learned to do is call in my protectors, my guides. I call in the archangels, and I think it's important for anybody that does energy work to call in their guides and to ground themselves and to say a little prayer that you're doing this for the best outcomes with the best intent to help others. So it's kind of a process getting prepared. And then other times, as you know, with intuitive people, it can hit you from left field like a 2x4, like it's like a knowing. Somebody explained it to me in metaphysical terms as how do you differentiate something that's analytical versus true intuition? And it's when your gut, it hits you in the gut and you don't analyze it. I tend to analyze everything because I'm kind of scientifically minded. But it just hits you in the gut and you just know it to be true without overthinking it. So these are kind of the steps that I take before I go into channeling into my intuitive state. And then other times it just hits me like through dreams or through like a meditation state to get, answers.
Do you have to ground yourself, before doing that? Because I mean, I would think there would be some grounding involved.
Oh, absolutely. What I do is I picture myself. There's several different ways you can do it, but I have like a grounding cord. I just ground myself to earth, and then I open up my chakra, and I always call in my spiritual protectors, whether you call them like guardian angels, your spirit guides, God, and I kind of hook myself up to that source. And it has really helped me in my field of work being a nurse. A lot of times, like when patients run into problems, I will just intuitively, of course, you use your knowledge, your scientific knowledge, but then at times I also think that you just have a gut feeling that can help navigate towards doing the right action. And of course, we do this to help other people, as you know.
Right. During the investigation, I've seen you do this. When you've done the circle, and we've done the channeling thing, where you always like to have another investigator there to help you, just in case. Is that a precaution that maybe you get too deep or whatever it is that you're channeling may get too deep into your body?
Right. That can happen at times. And I think another important factor is knowing when to let go. I never let anything. When I first started this, as you know, Charlotte, I was kind of wild.
Yeah.
I let things kind of take over, and I don't do that anymore. I'm always in control now, or at least I don't let anything overtake me. And I always ask permission when I do a reading for somebody else. I always ask permission, or at least I usually try to remember to ask permission from the person, the recipient that you're doing the reading for, and for the spirits that you're calling in. So it's kind of like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Question I have along that line is: have you ever been in a situation where something? I mean, because obviously, like even during a regular investigation, you're open to your readings and you're doing a read on the house or the room. Have you ever had an instance where someone has just like popped into you?
Oh yeah, more in the beginning when I started. I mean, I've had this my whole life,
Mm-hmm.
but it hasn't been. It's only been like the last 20 years that I've initiated it, and I honed in and tried to get more skillful at doing the channeling.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to
Mm-hmm.
answer your question, yes, I have. And I remember one time we were at the Sequoia Hotel. It was one of our earlier investigations. And there's an alleged ghost that comes down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember her name, but she comes down at stairs. And I remember the janitor working at night closed all the doors. And one time he saw her come down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody broke in the hotel late at night. And yet, whoever broke in the hotel didn't sabotage him because he felt totally safe with this entity coming down the stairs to protect him. And I remember one time we were doing an investigation there, and I was channeling that woman
Mm-hmm.
that would come down the stairs.
Yes.
I remember that so well. And it got a little bit where she overtook me and I had to pop her out.
Right.
I was pretty new at doing this at that time. So it shook me up. It scared me.
I
I
remember that night. I
I
remember
felt
because.
a vibrational like rush and a vibrational pulling
Mm-hmm.
when that happened.
I
When she
remember that night, and I remember you asked for help. I mean, you still had enough. There was still enough of you to where you looked up and went, "Hey, can somebody come grab my shoulders?"
yeah.
And we did, But I've been with psychics, and I'm not going to. Well, Sabrina, we'll talk about Sabrina for a second. And Sabrina used to scare me because she was open all the time, and I remember the first time I ever saw her at the Wilden Opera House, how unnerving it was because she would walk across just be walking down the hall, or you up there on the mezzanine, and she would change personalities. I mean, just like that. And it took some getting used to because that was the first time I ever really went on a real ghost investigation with a good team, big team. And to see her do that was just crazy, and that's one thing I can say. Like you say, I've never seen you lit, except for that instance with Mrs. B at Sequoia. I've never seen you do that to where somebody just pops into you. You always prep yourself, before you do that. But with Sabrina, that's the way she operated, and it was funny because I know it happened at the Woodland Opera House, and then later on when she was on our team, Moss Beach Distillery was another place. She's walking across the thing and the floors of the restaurant, and she starts going into different personalities. So if you weren't used to it, it was scary.
Oh yeah.
The first thought I had at the Woodland Opera House was, "Oh my God, I'm here with Sybil," because I'd never seen that before or seen anybody do that before. But you don't, like now I'm used to it. If Sabrina was to do it now, it wouldn't bother me because I'm so used to it. But like with you, it was like a breath of fresh air because I thought, "Oh God, here we go. Karen's going to be changing it left and right." It's like a ping pong ball. But you would sit down and prepare yourself and take a deep breath, and so everybody knew that you were going to be doing this. Now, when
Yeah.
somebody is inside of you and you're doing that, now because everybody equates channeling with the movie Ghost. Whoopi Goldberg with the one
Yeah.
guy. What does it feel like when there is an entity inside of you like that?
Well, I don't think it feels like anybody is inside of me. It feels like what happens for me, there's like a blank movie screen or a big canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And on the canvas is an image. And if I concentrate on who's coming in, it's like they become more focused, or they become brighter and brighter energy, where I can actually see what their physical face looked like when they were living. And sometimes they come in as a bright light, spirit form. And other times they, like I said, they take shape as a human being, what they look like when they were living on Earth. As you know, I love to study different ancient cultures. And I'll never forget, a number of years ago, Michael and I went to the LACMA, the museum in Los Angeles, and we went to go see the King Tut Museum. And King Tut, there was a room where it just had him alone. And everybody walked into the other room, and for a moment I was there alone with King Tut.
Cool.
And my hair stood on end, and I felt that vibrational pull back to that time period, back to the Egyptian time period when he lived, when he was a boy and he died.
I've wondered about that. I've seen Tut's treasure. I've also been to the Natural History Museum in San Jose. Or not the
the Rosary, yes,
and walking around there. I've always wondered, because I mean, even I have abilities, but they're not like your abilities. They're nothing like what you have. And I've always wondered what happens when a medium goes into a place like that. I mean,
you have to be careful. You have to, but it was just one of those moments in my life I will never forget. And another experience I had learning about a different culture is, remember when I gave the flu shots?
Yes.
I worked for a family that was from India, and a lovely family. And I remember, I think they were Buddhist or Hindu, I can't remember, but I remember having some talks about their culture, and I think they were Buddhist. And it was really interesting to learn and talk to some of the family members about how they, their culture in India, how they pray to the gods and all that too. So it's fascinating. I've been really lucky being exposed to different cultures my whole life.
Really. I think in what we do, that's important. I think we have to do our research when we're out. If it is a Indian family, we have to talk to them and see what their religious beliefs are, so we don't overstep either. I mean, they may believe in ghosts and whatnot, but there also may be certain things that we can't do when we're out in the field, during an investigation with these families. But I'm fascinated by you, and it's just like, hey, I can see you. I can see you with King Tut stuff. It's like Karen's own version of Night at the Museum, right?
Right. That was fascinating. Oh, and another time, remember the Titanic exhibit?
Yes.
Well, I had to look to see if there were any Clarks on board. I didn't see any. But at the Titanic, I touched the boat that went down, and I could feel some of the passengers as well. And looking at the paraphernalia, like the baby shoes and all that, I could feel some of the paraphernalia.
What did that feel like? I mean, it had to be a really sad feeling.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Especially like with the third passengers. The lower level passengers. They were like on the lower deck. Remember the movie?
Right.
Yeah. That was really sad. Absolutely.
Because I've never seen the Titanic. I've never seen that. But I can just imagine, because being even as sensitive as I am, walking in that building and feeling that. Yeah. all that sorrow those people felt.
Oh yeah,
the terror.
yeah.
Of all that. I can only, I
And
know
even sometimes I'll walk into like a store.
right.
I'll walk into a store that I used to work at Sunrise Mall, and in the corner there's like a a pole, like a gravity pole, and in the back corner I felt there's an energy stuck back there, and I asked one of the workers, I said, do you have any problems back here? And she said, oh yeah, people claim that they feel like wind around their hair. And so what's really interesting too is when I grew up in San Jose, and there was a Toys R Us store there. Remember Sylvia Brown?
Yes, absolutely.
I never got to see her, but I was lucky, and I've seen her in conferences. But I remember there was a report at the Toys R Us store in San Jose where there was a ghost in the back. And I think Sylvia Brown picked up that it was like a farmer who was chopping up wood or something, and he went crazy. And the toys would move around. It's quite fascinating. I've never been in that Toys R Us, but I did have that experience at one of the mall, retail shopping stores at Sunrise Mall.
Fascinating. Now, do you find, I mean, when you go out in public, because you do this type of work, as far as the channeling part goes, I mean, obviously, you're with your abilities, and like the restaurant we went to, 2 weeks ago when I saw that guy peering in through the window.
Oh yeah, right.
Which got confirmed by Ann Bender, which was really sweet. It was nice to know. But I mean, that's one of the first times where I've been out in a public place and I have seen something, like that. I've never seen anything like that on a public location. But for you, being a channeler like you are, do you really have to be on your guard when you go to a mall? Because, I mean, you would think that there would be, I'm not going to say desperate ghosts or desperate people that are stuck in that limbo that want to jump into you to get their story told.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that happens. Everybody has the ability to hone in on their intuition. It's a matter of if you build on it or not, or you work on fine tuning it. And when a person does that, they can get more in touch with their inner intuition. And like I said earlier, I think when you go into energy work this heavy, it is very important that you protect yourself before you do anything. However that is, it doesn't matter as long as it works for you.
Right.
The person doing it.
Right. Right. So how did you, I mean, like you say, at first you were really wild, as you were. Caren was scary, guys. Caren was scary out in the field. And I remember back in the day when I met Caren, we were filming with the other team, so I was running around in the dark with a video camera that I could see everything. It was pitch black in the rooms. But you'd be walking near Caren, and Caren would get really excited, and she'd go, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And so you'd be jumping like a foot. I mean, it was insane. And when I brought her on my team, I knew I was going to be dealing with that. But I let you just do your own thing, and you were able to train yourself, to take these things calmly. I mean, we all start like that. I mean, when you're a psychic and you start doing work like that, that's how it is at first, because you start seeing things that you never saw before. And it's scary sometimes.
It is. It can be scary. As you know, our famous story when we walked through Woodland Opera House in the dead of summer, no pun intended, dead. And there's absolutely no breeze. It was just one of those hot, dormant nights. And the door, we were in the kind of like the basement part where they do the dress rehearsals.
Right.
And the door slammed.
Yeah. Yeah.
and we saw mannequins moving. Oh, that was
Sacramento Theater Company. Yeah, that
oh,
was
okay.
super
It
weird.
was Sacramento Theater Company. I'm sorry.
That's also where the ghost came walking in to see what we were doing.
Yes, yes.
And you and
Yeah,
I were down at you and I were down at I would say the east side of the building, the east side of the room.
Uh-huh.
And I had moved from the back part because I had heard the footsteps coming towards me, and the guy had like keys like a super, and every time this man or woman or whatever it was would step down, you could hear the keys jingle.
Oh yeah.
And I remember looking at you and I thought, I'm not standing here. I don't know what the hell this thing is. I was still new at it, right, at that point. So I went and stood by you, and then Janelle Cardoso was standing where I was standing, so I was watching her expression.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember watching her turn her head to the left, and then she looked back over at me, and she turned her head to the left, because she heard whoever this was coming towards her, too. That place was wild. I mean, that place was
goodness,
something.
Yes.
Oh. Now, just recently, you and I went to the Woodland Opera House to do some like B-roll shots for a short video we have coming out about the place. And even that day, and there was a play going on at the time, and you and I got to go upstairs. They let us walk around and stuff. You were channeling into Madame Macheska and everything.
Oh yeah.
While you were there.
Yeah. That place is really active too. Yes. A lot of theater companies are. So many theater companies have a history of being active.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They just like the stage, I think. Especially after performance, man, it's really active. Now, I always thought that somebody that can channel, because not everybody can channel. No, and not everybody likes to channel because they don't like that to be have their space invaded like that. That's why this thing is called the art of channeling, because I think people that channel, it's a fine art for you guys to do that. Because I mean, it saps your energy.
Oh yeah,
no doubt about it. I mean, how tired are you after? Let's say like we did the Sequoia thing where you were technically Mrs. B for like 30 minutes. How does it feel afterwards? Are you exhausted or what's going on there?
Yeah, sometimes it can be a rush when you go. It's a rush of adrenaline. I mean, it can be uplifting too, especially when you help other people get to answers that they might be searching for, or you help them through a healing process. But how does it feel? It feels, I would say it depends on who you're channeling as well. If it's a cantankerous spirit, an agitated spirit, you got to be careful not to take on that energy. If it's a sad spirit, the same thing. You can feel sad. If it's a anxious spirit, you could feel that anxiety. So you kind of have to stay in a neutral position while you take on that source of energy, while you're reading that energy.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Another thought I had too is when Caren channels, it's interesting to see because you can tell when she's channeling because your voice will get lower. It doesn't matter whether you're talking to a male or female, your voice always goes lower, and you hunch over. Your shoulders get hunched.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but you're one of the only, like Sabrina doesn't do that. So I'm just wondering if it's something. I don't know. I'm not saying it's anything wrong. I'm just saying this is what I've noticed watching you over the years is that your voice will get lower and your shoulders will hunch.
See, that's an observation I didn't even know.
See, yeah, let's do something good at you.
Yeah.
And that's why when people walk by and go, what is she doing? I'll say, oh, she's channeling. You just tell. Your mannerisms change, essentially.
Oh, definitely.
Do you think that, does every medium have the ability to do that? Or do you think it's just certain mediums that can do that and control it?
It's a really good question. Can you rephrase that?
Okay. Do you think that, like I call it the art of channeling, So do you think like every medium has different talents of stuff they can do? You know, you get really talented people that can do everything. You get people that can only do like certain things like me. I hear them in my head. I don't necessarily see them. Once in a while I'll see them, like when we went to dinner. But I don't do that. And for you, it seems like you can do both. You know, pretty much both. You hear and see, and you channel. So do you think that channeling is something that mediums have to learn, or something that some mediums do naturally, or how's that work? Do you think?
I think it depends on a lot of different situations, variables. It depends on your health status, how you're feeling, your relationship with the person you're channeling with, where you're at in your life at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, it's putting yourself, it's like you have to take yourself out of the picture in a way and get into a sense of your own spirituality where your analytical mind isn't taking over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times when I do channeling work, or I have in the past, I don't remember what I said.
Right.
And they'll say, Caren, you said A, B, and C, and D. And I don't remember saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you get more into a really deep state of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
No, I find this really interesting because it's something that I wouldn't want to do. Okay, let me put it that way. It's something I've had I've had ghosts go through me. Queen Mary, I had the little girl that's supposed to be drowned in the pool ran through me.
oh,
Okay,
you mean on the Queen Mary?
Yeah, I've had her run through me, turn green because of her. But that's before I was a ghost hunter too. But I mean, I've had instances where I've been at posts and I've had them go through me. But I've never done any kind of channeling or anything. My particular taste, if I would like to do that. So that's why I admire people that are able to do that and come out of it like you do.
Oh, you're good, Charlotte. You definitely have abilities.
I just haven't used them all to the fullest, as they say, or tried to use them all. I'm content.
I don't think I have either. I mean, when I was going through my illnesses, I had to kind of protect myself and stay away from it for a while. But now that I'm getting healthier and stronger, I'm tiptoeing back into it, but carefully.
Right.
Well, but the ability is always there. Like I've had it since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I think I get it from both my parents, particularly my mom's side. Mm-hmm. My mom's very intuitive. But I think that it's something that just comes with time.
Well, I want to add to this too. Caren's mom is going to be a guest on the show.
I hope so.
She's got excellent abilities. And my mother, I remember my mother, when my mother was a senior citizen, she would see family members. And that's, it's a normal thing as they get, I don't want to say it that way, you know what I mean? As they get older, they'll start seeing family members and stuff. So I'd be curious to see what your mother is seeing now. She's 86, right?
Yes. Yeah. She just had, and she's reading these books about transitioning into the next life.
Okay.
Really interesting. She's into like life after death, what happens. My mom's very metaphysical.
So it'd be interesting to talk with her because I know I experienced it with both my mom and dad. In 2-3 years before the end and stuff. And at that point, he was seeing stuff in here.
Absolutely.
And it's nothing to be afraid of. It just happens. Lorna, I want to add a quick to Lorna. We investigated Lorna's house a few years ago, and I was able to get the ghost that was bothering them outside her house. But the funny thing was, Lorna, are you still there? But the funny thing is Lorna came out to report that while she was sleeping or trying to sleep, they were trying to peer at her through the windows. So they were jumping up because she had high windows. And they were jumping up to peer at her through the window. So, yeah. Lorna had an interesting house. That's all I can say. I miss you, Lorna. Lorna is also a very gifted medium. She's very gifted. And she does a few investigations with us.
Yay! We got to get back out.
Yeah, we're going to start getting back out in the field. And I got one of them lining up right now. Get us all started. We're going to be doing some commercial ones like at Murphy's Hotel and different places like that, to get back in the flow of things. We kind of took a COVID break, so we're going to be getting back out. Karen's going to be getting back out. Let me ask you this: when you could, has there ever been a particular ghost or spirit that you have channeled or met at one of the investigations that you really liked?
Oh yes, Charlie in the ballroom at Murphy's Hotel.
Okay, tell us about it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, it was a bunch of us gals during an investigation. The ballroom is upstairs, and I'll preface that I don't think there was any customers there. It was just empty. The owners let us have at it late at night. We went up there to do an EVP session, and that hotel is old, and it's got, strong walls where you can't really hear outside. And there wasn't a lot of commotion. I don't remember any cars going by. There was an ice machine in the kitchen. There were no men, and we did an EVP session, and we got a male spirit that answered back on command when I was asking, and his name is Charlie. And the weird thing is his voice sounded a lot like Michael's voice.
Oh yeah, when I heard the EVP, it freaked me out. I thought something was wrong with Michael. Michael is her husband. I guess we can say husband, her longtime companion.
29 years, yeah.
Yeah, so it's about husband at this point. Yeah, I remember that. I made you call because I thought something had happened to Michael.
We played it back, and I said, "I love you, Charlie." And he said, "I love you too."
And it was in Michael's voice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then I called Michael, and he was rather annoyed because I woke him up. He said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I just heard you on an EVP." He said, "I'm sleeping. Leave me alone."
Now, you did a little bit of research into channeling, for this show. Let's talk about some of that. What were you able to find about it?
I found that more women are usually prone to be channelers and have better intuition than men. And I'm not saying that men don't, but women, we're the ones that bear children, and we're the ones that have to be in touch with if our children are okay or not. So I think there's that women's intuition. Even though I can never have children, I think it's innate in all women that women, we are the ones that have the kids, and throughout civilization, we're the ones that have to know if our kids are okay. Like my mom, growing up, we couldn't get away with much because mom always knew what's going on at all times.
Right.
And we couldn't get anything past her. She instinctively always knew what we were up to.
That's spooky.
Oh yeah. And usually I was a pretty good kid. I'm not saying I was perfect, but I was a pretty darn good kid. But mom always instinctively knew what was going on. Couldn't hide anything from her.
Well, now we know why. Very psychic. See that? We got
Yeah.
that answer now. Sometimes even after doing this for as long as I have, when I come in contact, when I meet a new psychic, or maybe we're at pizza or something, oh yeah, I'm sensitive, this kind of thing. I still feel self-conscious about being around them because I always think they're boring holes into my psyche to get to know me. And it's and to this day, 18 years later, I still feel like sometimes I get uncomfortable. Certain psychics,
definitely.
not all of them, because there's like a current of things with the psychic community, and that invasive psychics are kind of thrown to the wayside, because the whole idea behind it is that you ask permission to literally get into somebody's psyche. It's not fair to just get into somebody's psyche and try to read them without them knowing.
Oh, right. I always ask permission. I ask permission from the person I'm reading for,
Mm-hmm.
and I ask permission with the spirit form, the spirit kind that I'm reading about or trying to pick up, or whoever may come in. And then you have to set your boundaries again. I'm reiterating. You set your boundaries that nobody takes over you. Nobody takes over your psyche. Nobody takes over. And these are really good principles to live just on a day-to-day basis anyways. Is to keep your awareness up, but you don't want to be a doormat either.
Right.
It's a little bit of give and take.
Now, as a channeler, do you find, and I know, like, Anne and Sabrina have told me this, when you go into a really big building that has a lot of ghosts, you end up picking and choosing, or they choose you, whoever's strongest to come up. Do you find that, where was I going with this? See? Do you find that they're eager to jump into your body or into your psyche to have you channel them, or sometimes you have to ask them for permission as well?
I have to ask permission, and not so much anymore. In the beginning, yes, but now I ask permission. Always ask permission, and always ground myself and protect myself, and go through that whole algorithm.
Another question I have for you too. Another question I have for you too is that Nancy says this. Almost everybody I talk to says this. That when people die, they retain their personality. So if the guy was an a-hole in life, he's going to be an a-hole. Maybe he hasn't crossed over, or whatever, but he's going to be an a-hole. So how are you able to like when you go to channel, and let's say you come in contact with somebody that's an a-hole or something? How do you get rid of them right away?
That's really important to know. And I totally believe what Nancy's saying, 100%. Because a lot of times, I think it's a hypothesis that when a person dies and passes, that their personality goes with them. And we have lessons that we have to learn on Earth, and the lessons that we don't learn on Earth follow us to our next lifetime. Now there's different theories on that, but a lot of times they say you go through an incubation period after you die. You have life review, and you go into a different realm. And I do believe that people have life after life.
Okay.
Especially when they are regressed and they can recall a past life.
Sure.
And I do believe that we all pick our parents and what for the lessons that we need to go through.
But isn't that a thing though, with coming back, from a past life, that we always end up with the same group of people that we started with way back when? It's just they're in different positions.
I so agree with that. Like my girlfriend BJ and I, we swear we were pirates in a past life together. And we do. We said that from day one. I've known her for 40 years. And we swear we were pirates together.
That's cool.
I remember when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I was lying in bed. And you know, when you're children can retain their past memories of what their past lives were. I remember walking up to a beautiful golden palace. Now, I don't know what civilization it was, what country it was from, but it was a beautiful golden palace. That's all I remember. So maybe that's from a past life I had.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When did you realize that you had abilities?
I think I didn't realize I had abilities until I was really older. I remember having out-of-body experiences when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm. See, I remember even as a little kid not knowing what it was, but I was always seeing dark shapes in my house. It was always shadow people, growing up.
And your Uncle Nick, he comes around a lot too.
Yeah, he's around quite a bit. He's a prankster. But
yes, he is.
I remember doing that. I remember my family going, well, because I always had imaginary friends for what it was worth.
Mm-hmm.
Most kids do, but I didn't see any imaginary friend. I just knew he was there, right? But I mean, they chalked it up to like a very wild, what's the word for it? Imagination for me. When in reality, when I would go to bed at night, I would see dark shadow. Like this guy that we saw at the restaurant. If he was a dark shadow peering at us through the window. That's how I see someone.
Oh, you freaked out. I remember that. It just caught you by left field.
Right. I just said, hey, did you see that? Remember when we sat down? You see that guy standing there?
Yeah.
Talking to everybody eating. And so when I was little, that's how they appeared to me, was they were like dark shadows that I would see. And I would see them in my bedroom. I would see them through the window, peering at me at night and all this other stuff. And I had a hard time. I slept with the light on for years. I still do.
No, me too at times. Unless I have a migraine, then it has to be dark.
Right.
Charlotte, do you remember when we were at the graveyard and we were driving through the countryside and we saw it? It was like as big as Bigfoot. It was like this gray mass that just shot right in front of the car.
That was wild. And
you were driving the van, I think, right in front of the van.
Yeah, it was so dark that this person we saw, definitely a shadow person, it even blocked the headlights. The headlights did not go through it. And what makes it even weirder was that it's one of these spots that, along the country roads that the sides, the hills on the sides of the roads are almost straight up and down. So if it had been a real person, they would have had a hard time going uphill. To get out of the way.
We saw it together. You gasped, and I'm like, "Did you see that?" You said, "Yeah," and we both saw it at the same time. I'll never forget that.
We even got out of the car because there was no place for anybody to go.
Yeah.
At that point, it was weird. It's the first time I ever saw one walk in front of me. I've seen them from time. Like I said, I grew up seeing shadow people. When I did the Fallon Hotel in Columbia, there was a shadow man coming down the hallway that we actually saw. He actually stood there in front of 10 people in the parlor that we could see him. So yeah, so it's interesting for that. Now here, I'm going to ask you from your perspective with shadow people. What are shadow people? Do you think? What do you think they are? Are they people that just don't want to fully appear, fully show themselves, or do they not remember what they look like?
It's some kind of energy. It's some kind of energy that manifests. I think that it's some kind of energy form that is trying to manifest to let you know it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's somebody, it's an entity that has crossed over and has come back like for a visitation, or if it's somebody that hasn't totally crossed over yet, I don't know. But it's some kind of energy source that just manifests itself just to let the person know that they're there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you get a feeling on the intent.
Right. Because I was going to just say, a lot of people say that they're like the bearer of bad news, that they're evil and all this. But the ones I've seen that I've come in contact with, they haven't come off, to me as being scary or being evil.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there are good. There's just like anything else. There's good shadow people. And there's bad shadow people. Like the guy at the restaurant. All he wanted to do was watch everybody eat.
Yeah.
That was funny. But it's just I just find what you do interesting in being able to channel, because I know anytime that I've invited anything in, or I've taken what I call a psychic hit, it exhausts the living heck out of me.
Oh, it does.
So I admire you for doing it.
Oh, thank you. Any kind of energy work can be exhilarating and tiring at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it has to do with how you deal with it. You learn how to hone in on your skill. You learn how to control it better. Mm-hmm. I think when you're starting out, a person starting out, it is very scary. It can be very scary, but it can be exhilarating too.
Absolutely. Now, we talked about Mrs. B, obviously. We talked about the lady at the Murphy's Hotel. Out of all the investigations that we've done together, and there have been a lot over, before that, almost 20 years. I know. Which one do you think stands out the most to you?
The lady at Murphy's, the owner, one of the caretakers, Agnes or Eleanor.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I got two names, Agnes and Eleanor. I know Nancy Matz picked up on her too.
She's really strong.
She's still there. In fact, when we went to Angels Camp not too long ago, Kathy and I went into Murphy's Hotel, and I took her upstairs, and I remember I was telling her all the stories about, and then we talked to the lady, the receptionist, or the lady that checks the hotel residents in. And that was really interesting. I don't think she likes, there's a bar down below, and I think she gets annoyed when it gets too loud at the bar.
She has a very interesting personality. I remember when we did the last conference there, and she locked us out of room 9. We couldn't get in there. I had to ask her.
She did. I remember that.
We couldn't get in. She wouldn't let us in.
Yeah. And even though Charlie resides in the ballroom, it's like, I think they're two separate dimensional energies that cross each other. I don't like, a lot of times there can be certain spirits stuck in one place, whether it's a hotel, a residential, any kind of building. A lot of times the energy, the entities they could be aware of each other, or they may not be aware of each other, but they cross each other at certain times.
That makes sense, because we've done that. God, I can't remember the name. It's too early for me. I'm a night owl. That hotel in Grass Valley that we've done so many times. And there's the two little, you've gone there too. They've got the two little children that run around, and then the mother is looking for them. So she, like you talk about being on different dimensions, maybe she died before they did, or vice versa. But they seem to be on two different planes because they never intersect.
Yes. Exactly.
Holbrook Hotel. Yeah, I knew I'd figure it out. Because I remember us talking with them, and they're looking for their mother. The mother's looking for them, but they never seem to intersect. So that's where I came. I thought about that theory that you're talking about. That it depends. I think maybe on when the person dies. That sometimes they get stuck in that whatever dimension level they're in.
Do you remember the two little kids that we picked up on that were playing down the hallway, and one had a ball, and they were running up and down the hallway, and we picked them up. And when we did a channeling session, I think we were using, of course, we were doing EVPs. We were using our dowsing rods and flashlights, and the flashlights would go on and off right on cue when we asked the little kids questions.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And when the dowsing rods are crossed, the flashlights would go off, so we had cross verification. And then what was cool is that we didn't pick them up per se talking to us via EVP, but when we first went in, because I leave recorders running all the time, so I set the recorders down, put some candy on the floor, and as Caren came in to get ready, we were just kind of having a quick "what are we going to do" session, and you could hear them running in and giggling.
Oh yeah,
recording. Yeah.
That was chilling. Yeah, I remember that one.
So anyway, I just wanted to talk about channeling because, like I said, people see this on TV, whether it's Ghost or other shows, Poltergeist, or even the others, because there was a channeler there as well. But you've really enlightened us on what it's like to be a channeler, because it's not every psychic can do that. It's an art. And
it is. I think it's a combination of an art and science and spirituality and practicing.
Yes.
And intent.
Right.
What your intent is, how you do it.
Right. Absolutely. All right, gang. That is it for today. I will be back at 6:30 p.m. Pacific tomorrow with Dr. Nicole Sebastian. And this is going to be an interesting show because what we're going to be talking about is dreams and spirituality. I can't even talk right. Anyway, dreams and spirituality, and how you can utilize information in your dreams to look at your future in your daily life.
Oh, that should be fascinating.
So that's going to be tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, back here, California Haunts Radio. So that's our show tomorrow. We had a guest cancel on us yesterday, and that was okay. And Caren, kindly said she'd come on today. So thank you so much for coming on last minute.
My pleasure.
This is killing us because Caren is a night owl like me. Okay, I work after I do the shows at night. Like I said the other night when I had my solo show, I am up, listening to other shows, finding guests, and doing TikToks and whatever else I do. And so I usually don't get to bed till maybe, if I'm lucky, 3 or 4 a.m., maybe 5 a.m. Karen's a night owl too, so she's up. So you can imagine I'm going on 2 hours sleep right now, and Karen's going on like limited sleep as well. So thank you.
Oh yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you so much. So what I didn't add was you can find California Haunts all over the web. You can find us at Facebook. You can find under California Haunts Radio. You can find us at Twitter under California Haunts. You can find us at Twitch under Cal Haunts, and we are over at TikTok under California Haunts. Caren and I have a show we're putting together. We did a test run a couple of weeks ago on it. We're just about ready to go on the air. I've discovered AMP, so we may be doing some stuff over at AMP as well. But once Caren and I schedule the show, and it's coming up quick here because you gave me an idea today for the show, so I think we're going to go through with that idea. And once we start doing that, we're going to start doing a show regularly, maybe once a week, with Caren over on YouTube and maybe over on AMP as well. So just be on the lookout for that. We've been building up to this for almost a year, Caren and I, and we're finally to the point where we're ready to go with this stuff. So be ready. Be on the lookout for Caren in my show when I make the final announcement for it. But thank you, everybody, for coming today. And I know some of you will be watching this in the evening because you're not day people. you're not my usual crowd. But everything worked out in the show. I mean, this is one of those deals where, like I said, wrong intro, right show. So it's forever going to have the wrong intro on there, unfortunately. But it is what it is. So hopefully everybody has a great rest of the day. And thank you all for coming. If you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We're just equal opportunity here. Plus, we're just trying to get the word out of our little show. And I really appreciate each and every one of you that watch us I really do appreciate it. All right, with that being said, Caren, I will talk to you later. Get some sleep or do what you got to do today, and we'll talk this evening about stuff. And for the rest of you, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Let me do this here. I just booted Caren. See you guys tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Pacific for Nicole Sebastian. Have a great one, guys.